welcome to This Old Dollhouse. Let's get started. Today's video we're going to be building things in a different room that's not the kitchen. It's been 4 episodes of work in the kitchen, from the lighting to the cabinets, stairs, under the stairs. 4 episodes of one room, so I think it's time we switch it up a bit and we start work on the bathroom. So, looking at the bathroom, you can see there is nothing there. It's very empty. It's just the walls are primed. There's nothing on the floor. There's no crown molding. There's nothing. So we're gonna start there. So I'm gonna go from sketch to final product like I did with the cabinets and the stairs, just like everything else I've done. But we're gonna do a few floor samples, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so the first thing that needs to happen is I'm going to do some sketches of what I want the floor to look like. So when it comes to swatches, I like to just use cardboard. It's cheap and you can usually get it for free if you order something from Amazon. That's, you know, the boxes. So I've cut this first one out. Now I'm just gluing it. And when I glue it, I'm just being really easy with the glue. And then when I glue it down, I'm gluing it so that it's got a slight overhang on the edge, because this is gonna be a tile. So I wanna mimic the look of tile. So tile always has like this tiny gap. So I'm just mimicking that by having it overhang off the edge just a little bit. So I think the main choice is going to be between small scale and large scale. So I'm just going to paint this with typical like acrylic paint. Nothing special. I think you can get this for like $1. So I'm just going to paint these white so it looks like marble, and then we'll see what it looks like in the dollhouse. I actually think the small scale, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with small scale. Yep. Okay, so I definitely think I like this small scale better. This seems just kind of too wide for the space, so we're gonna go with this swatch. So because there's electrical on that floor, I'm going to need to kind of have like a base floor that goes on top of the electrical. In case something goes wrong with that electrical, I can remove it and you know, fix whatever I need to fix. So I think it was last year, I actually made these templates for the actually second floor and third floor so that I could do a base floor on top of the electrical. So I've got these made just as templates, and so what I'm gonna do is, I actually think this will fit just like perfectly. I'm going to cut this mat board and use the mat board as a way to lay down the floors. So yeah, so I'm just gonna cut this to size, and then we'll start prepping the plexi and talk about the layering that I'm gonna do. So let's do that. Okay, so I've got all of this cut out and I fit it to the dollhouse, so it's the right size. So next what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go into Illustrator and make the paper part of this tile. So it's gonna be 2 layers. The first layer is going to be paper, and then the second layer is going to be really thin plexiglass. I printed out what I made in Illustrator. So now it's just a matter of cutting all of these out and then making a plexiglass to go on top of it. And then, yeah, we'll start to glue it down and install. So what I've done is I've created a jig. It's hard to see because it's all plexi, but this way I can just line up my square that I cut out, and now I know for sure from that point to that point, that's my angle. And so I can just rotate the plexi around and cut, you know, whatever angle I need to cut. All right, so I've already started putting some of these tiles down just to kind of give you an idea of what the finished product will look like. So the first step in the process is to put down the paper, so these individual tiles, leaving a tiny gap in between. So put this down with rubber cement. I'm using rubber cement because it cleans off really easily. If I mess up or something, these will still peel off because of the rubber cement, and it won't cause any tearing or anything weird to happen under the paper. So once the paper is down, then I just put like a thick coat of the rubber cement on top of the paper and then overlay plexiglass, and then I let that dry. The end result looks like this. You can see it's shiny, it has a gloss, and you can see the marble paper underneath. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a good layer of rubber cement down. And then I'm going to put some of the paper down, leaving a little bit of a gap for the grout. So I'm just gently pressing it down with my finger, nothing too crazy. And I like rubber cement because I can move it around after the fact to make sure things are lined up very well. If I was using Elmer's glue or something else, if I would try to move this around, the paper would be really soaked in glue and I wouldn't be able to move it around at all. Okay, so these are pretty dry and tacked down. So now we're just going to overlay the plexiglass cover. So I like to check the plexiglass for any imperfections. I don't want to see any spider lines or anything like that. And this piece seems fine. Yep, so I peel off this paper and then just put a layer of rubber cement on top. You don't have to put, you know, a whole bunch, but you know, that's good. So I don't know if you can tell, but you have to completely seal the plexiglass to the paper. So it means getting rid of any of these gaps under the plexiglass. So I'm just putting even pressure on the plexiglass. If you put too much pressure on one end and not the other end, you can get those spider lines. So you'll notice there's some like saturation of rubber cement under the tile. That will dry out and you won't see that after it's dried. Thanks so much for watching this episode of This Old Dollhouse. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.